Welcome back to Mark Remeets World. I'm your host, Mark Levy, and I'm so excited to have you guys here for today's episode of Mark Remeets World. We're talking about Boy Meets World as usual, and the episode is going to be season 2, episode 4. Me and Mr. Joad. It's a fun one. It's got some classic elements of the series if you love. And you know what? If you haven't had a chance to watch it, please now's the time to do so. Use your Disney Plus. Use your Discord. I mean, not Discord. Use your Daily Motion. I don't know what words are. Use your syndication. Use your Apple TV. Use whatever you got. And I'll just wait here and wait while you watch it. Cool. All right, so our guest today is Josh Benjamin. You'll see him very shortly, and I will see you on the other side of this transition. Bye bye. All right, and we're back. I'm here with one of my favorite guests and one of my favorite people in the world, the one, the only, the Josh Benjamin.
What up, everybody? Glad to be back again.
I know, and congratulations on air. I mean, for those that don't know, Josh just became a dad a few months ago. I met his baby via Zoom the other day.
Baby Riley. She's a pain in our ass, but she's great.
Well, I'm happy that you are returning to the show, and for those that are interested in some future casting of episodes, Josh is going to be in not next week, but the week after too. So
that's right. That's right. Your guys are going to be sick of me before long. Can't wait.
All right, let's get started with the important details of the episode. We watched today episode 4 of season 2. Me and Mr. Joad. It aired on October 14th, 1994. Directed by David Trainer and Jeff Minnell. Easiest way to explain this episode: the A plot is
the A plot is school sucks, right?
Yeah, and the B plot is Return of Desiree. Which that hides a lot between last episode and this one.
I just want to point something out about Desiree real fast. As you grew up in the South, and I, as someone who has family in the South, nobody in the South sounds like that. Nobody talks like that. Nobody has the stupid Scarlett O'Hara accent.
I mean, it's straight up the antebellum South Georgia accent. But I had a big crush on Desiree as a kid, even though I probably shouldn't have.
Me too. Yeah.
She was my MVP last week. We'll see about that this week. I haven't decided yet. That's always in the moment. But all right. Let's start at the top of the episode. Corey is reading a book, and he is at the end of Grapes of Wrath. And Amy walks in.
Did you read Grapes of Wrath in high school?
I never read Grapes of Wrath. I never seen the movie either.
The movie's fantastic.
I know.
Yeah, definitely give it a watch. It's definitely like a one-time watch unless you're really into Henry Fonda. Mm-hmm. But I remember reading the book going into, I think, 10th grade for summer reading, 10th or 11th grade, and I hated it. It was so thick, so dense, so dark and depressing. And yeah, that's the Grapes of Wrath. It's the depression. Nobody has work. It's the Dust Bowl. We're all heading west for work that might not even be there. Let's stretch that out over 500-600 pages.
Oh, man. All right. I mean, I really should see the movie, honestly. That's like
for those at home, I'll give a brief synopsis of the book. It's about the Joad family who live in I think it's Kansas. It's either Kansas or Oklahoma. It's like it's a Dust Bowl state. And they're heading west with pretty much the whole family to California to find work. And among them, like the main protagonist is their son, Tom, who has just come home to the family from prison on a homicide charge. And he's heading west with them. And then like their old preacher comes with them. There's a bunch of other people they meet. And it's pretty much like a commentary on the New Deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So Corey's reading the book, and Amy's like, wow, you're so far in that book. It's so shocked to see you reading like a real adult book. And he's like, yeah. She's like, what page are you on? It's like 582. And he's like, now I'm on 580. And she's like, you're reading it backwards? And he's like, uh-huh. That way I know what happens before it or after it happens or something. Like it his logic didn't make sense, but it makes sense how he said it.
It's a very warped When Harry Met Sally logic for those who've seen that movie.
Yeah,
just because in When Harry Met Sally, Billy Crystal's character reads like the ending of books just so he can like set himself up for being happy, sad, or whatever. And I feel like, oh, Corey, like he's doing something similar, but he's doing it to get out of homework. So
and it's so funny, like the weird like batches of things that Corey does that you find out in this episode at the top of it. Like you find out they take 30 showers at the top of the month, and it was like 2 clean in February, which is a very, very funny joke. I thought I laughed really hard with that joke.
It's kind of like on South Park when like they're explaining Towley, like, have you ever been too dry before? It's terrible.
But yeah, it's like a really cute, sweet moment. It's like a fun, like good, like it's a very sweet, like Boy Meets World moment. And then immediately gets ruined by Eric running down the stairs.
Oh man,
like a bat out
poor
of hell.
Eric.
Because Desiree, the menace
Desiree.
of the South, whom we all love in theory, but also hate, because she is one of the best 2-episode arc characters of all time, I think.
Everybody in their lifetime has known a Desiree. They've either been attached to a Desiree or they have known someone who's been attached to a Desiree.
So for those that want to know, for those that didn't watch last week's episode of Notorious, Desiree appears. She's like very sweet, very kind, and very, very pretty, and
very vivacious.
Yeah, and like she's a handful. And then by the end of the episode, she's like Eric is like whipped. This time, she is kind of a demon. I mean, in the best possible, like a succubus, like. I
mean, I wasn't going to use that word, but yeah.
I mean, this is the best possible way. Like the jump of like the 2 weeks or so, like between episodes, is absurd.
It's true, yeah.
Like he's just like beyond whipped, still hasn't kissed her, and like if she says something, he jumps like beyond. Like it's bad. Yeah. And Amy is like at the door, like no, stop, Eric, stop. And he's like, I need the shampoo. She's like, no. Don't. Desiree needs shampoo. She needs to clean her hair, and they like basically like do like football moves to get past each other.
and I'm sorry, Desiree needs shampoo. There is not shampoo at her house. She needs to call her boyfriend to get it. Call child services. The poor girl is probably living miserably.
The poor dirty pretty girl is definitely evil to a certain extent. Like, I do wonder, like, what Desiree is like as an adult. Like, I wonder if she's definitely like exactly that, or if she's like.
Oh, Desiree moved back to Atlanta for school or wherever she's from. Then, like, she probably married some really white bread guy who wears suits all the time. They probably both voted for Trump. Maybe like didn't attend the Capitol riot, but they kind of quietly applauded it.
Yeah.
She's like trying to go the whole Ivanka route, but trying to do things on Twitter and Instagram, being an influencer of some kind. That's totally what happened to Desiree.
Oh,
Let's and she has 3 perfectly blonde kids.
And it's just like she's a
brunette.
Yeah. But yeah, so Eric gets past Amy, and we'll talk more about the scene from the Amy perspective towards the end with the Betsy Randall stuff. But like, really, this is a good Betsy Randall episode, without being a focused on her episode, you know?
Yeah, because like neither Amy nor Roger really figures in this episode. Alan, Roger.
You always call him Roger.
I don't know why. I think it's because like I use, maybe there's like a Roger Matthews I follow on Twitter. But anyway, Mr. and Mrs. Matthews do not factor into this episode very much, but what little screen time they do have, they do make the most of.
I mean, Alan probably has 5 lines in the whole episode.
Maybe even less than that. You don't really see Alan until the tail end.
Yeah, like, and he's got like a very funny button at his scene because they didn't have Morgan. Yeah. They had a good button for him. But so Corey goes to class, and Corey gets Grapes of Wrath. Like, and what's really cool, this is like the first time in the show where the show shows us that Corey's smart instead of being like, hey, Corey's smart. We know Corey's smart. But it's like, hey, I'm Corey and I'm actually smart. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not like he actually, even though he kind of half-assed reading Grapes of Wrath, he got the major takeaways from it. Yeah. Like, hey, like the people run things. Like the people, like I think the final line in the movie, it's something like, it's something people because we are the people.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, like as long as we're here, we're gonna be okay, and we're gonna look out for each other. And so he got that, and then used it pretty much in a way that you would expect him to, just like not on as grand a scale as he does, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes.
Right. So. But like, it was really nice to see like that Corey is not like, it's not just like feeling like, hey, Corey, I know you're smart. It's like Corey being like, holy crap, I should get what I'm talking about.
No, he's not a hyperactive knucklehead. He's just a hyper kid from Philly who actually has a brain and just picks and chooses when to use it.
Yeah. And so like Turner is like talking to the class, and like he like mentions like the kids don't want to take a test. And he's like, you guys don't need to take tests. Like as long as you know the material, you don't need to take the test, which is actually I'd say very sound. But it's also a huge part of the episode. Like
I think the exact line is like, as long as you open your app and have it and talk about the book, there's no test.
Yeah. And so the kids are very excited because they realize they could just not take a test, which is awesome. And as long as they have an idea what they're talking about, like in class.
Yeah.
And so one of the big things in this episode is the fight between Feeney and Turner, which is in my personal opinion, one of the better arcs for Turner in the whole run of the series for Mr. Turner, because Mr. Turner, in my personal opinion, when he gets taken out of the classroom is a lot worse than when he is in, for lack of a better word.
I think with Mr. Turner, Mr. Feeney, it's also just an interesting picture of the like dichotomy of the two styles of teaching that around this point in the 90s were starting to clash. Because like obviously, like I'll have to ask my older sister about this, but like I remember in the early mid 90s, that's when you started really seeing the advent or the rise of, we'll say, the cool teacher.
Yeah,
like the teacher who like was a teacher but kind of looked and acted young enough that they could still relate to the kids.
Right. So just because like Turner's like 30, I'd say.
Yeah, like 30, like 32, something like that.
Yeah, like probably just a hair younger than we are right now. You know, like the cool teacher. If we rode a motorcycle and had a mullet, we'd be Mr. Turner, basically.
Yeah, like an English teacher with a motorcycle and a mullet. That I did not have any of those. I wish I did, but I did not. If I became a teacher, I totally would be the motorcycle teacher, though.
Oh, 100%. Let me think 1 second. My dad just texted me about masks. That's fun. But whatever. I'll respond to that later. So Feeney does not love the idea of the no test idea. He thinks it's like terrible. Like he's like, how about this? Let's give the kids a test to see if the kids work if they work and they don't need to have to work.
Yeah, it's like, and it's kind of disguised as a test that's not actually a test, but of course the students see right through it.
Which we'll get to that in a bit, but it's actually, it makes sense. Like the idea of like, hey, let's give them basically a pop quiz to make sure they know the stuff.
Yeah.
So then we go back to the Matthews house. Jason shows up. And his favorite basketball, he's got his like 8 layers of sweats on, because that's what people did in the 90s, apparently wear like 8 layers of sweats to play basketball. And Amy's there, and she's kind of like annoyed by everything, and they have like a quick little beat before Eric shows up about Desiree, because they both are very anti-Desiree at this point. Which Jason is from basically the jump in the first episode of Desiree. And like, Eric, sorry.
It's like the very common relationship of like, it's like I said, you either know a Desiree or you're attached to a Desiree. And the way Jason's acting is, because like, I'll just put it out there. I've known lots of people who have dated Desirees, and his response is like spot on to like a reaction, rather. Like they captured the atmosphere of this type of toxic relationship almost perfectly.
Yeah, you're right. Like, I feel like a lot of people, like, I mean, I went to Jewish day school growing up, so I understand like the whole idea of like the idea of a Desiree is like also a very good idea if you want a very pretty but a very high maintenance girl. But like Jason's response is perfect. Like Jason, we look at like 10 episodes of Jason Marsden as Jason Marsden, but like all those episodes are like cooking with gasoline, like amazing. Like
what else has Jason Marsden been in besides this?
He's a big voice actor. His biggest role
he's Max from Goofy.
Yeah,
movie.
Exactly. I was gonna say that.
Okay, all right.
And he's also one of the few people in the world, like in the history of like sitcoms, where their name is actually their name.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like Jason Marsden is the actor and the character.
Great.
But so Eric comes down and he's like dressed normal, and Jason's like, "Hey, how you gonna like play basketball like that?" He's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna help Desiree." And both Amy and him are like, "No." And then like he gets a page, and the pager. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I fucking love. Oh, wait. I want to bring up one of my favorite lines that Amy has in the whole episode.
Yeah, for sure.
In lieu of flowers, please send a donation to the foundation of the terminally whipped.
Yeah, it's rare that you see a mom use that terminology, especially in the '90s. Now, for all we know, like the Matthews family, they could drop the F bomb and the S bomb, say fuck shit, this, that, all out. I can curse, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah, they'll say like fuck shit, this, that, in the Matthews household. But the fact that on a '90s sitcom, which let's be honest, was kind of targeted towards kids, it's just like she uses the term. Yeah, she uses the term whipped, and all of a sudden the parents are just like, oh, she said that. Okay. Kind of like revolutionary for its time if you think about it.
Yeah, it really is. It's just the fact that this is a kid show on TGIF and Amy Matthews is very much like a kid as an adult. It's great. And now we get to the amazing pager that like at first it was like my brain thought that it was Eric's by choice, but no, it's Desiree's pager for her boyfriend.
Is Desiree just a drug dealer and Eric is like he's her latest? I don't know. Why else would she ask her significant others to have a beeper of all things?
It's 90s, man.
90s sweet Southern girl moving.
I mean,
no one suspects a thing.
I had a pager for like a second as a kid, and then I realized I didn't need it. And my parents realized I needed them, like, because my parents are always like early adopters for things. Like, and this is I had a pager like probably a year after this episode, and like I had no reason for it because I was not cool enough to have one.
I did not have a pager. I'm pretty sure I was the last of my friends to get a cell phone.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I didn't get my first cell phone until right after Thanksgiving of 11th grade.
Okay.
So this would have been November 2002. That's when I got my first cell phone. And even then I had no idea how to use it.
You don't. Boom. No.
Depends on the day.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you do have dad brain right now.
That is a thing. Dad brain is 100% a thing.
Oh, I fully believe it. I saw it. I saw it when I saw you just feeding Riley yesterday. It's like, dude, I'm tired.
well. Also, I was watching the Knicks beat the Celtics by 30 points yesterday.
All right. And knowing you, that's like the most important thing in the world.
And they won again today. While we were talking, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Amy goes to her last resort, which is the funniest thing ever. She sprays Eric in the crotch with the hose from the sink to like stop. Like she's like, you can't go, you'll like pee to yourself.
I'm sorry, I forgot how funny I found that part because like
it's so out there. He's like,
it's not just that. Like you remember from like middle and high school where like in the boys' room, there's always that one rogue sink where the water pressure is amped up to like 50,000.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to wash your hands after you pee, and it comes back at you, and all of a sudden it looks like you peed your pants.
I love it so much. Oh my god. So then like Eric runs upstairs to fix the situation. Desiree walks in, and she's just like, hi y'all. And like she calls the phrases she calls Jason in the scene are so funny because she's like, aren't you a little petite for basketball?
A little petite for basketball.
When he's like a foot taller than Muggsy Bogues, but that's a whole different. She calls him
Muggsy Bogues, my wife's favorite basketball player, Muggsy Bogues.
So great, I love it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's just another like spicy little scene between Desiree and Jason. While Eric comes down, he's got a towel. He didn't change his pants. He's stuck a towel in, and he's like, "Yeah, like I sent something," and like, with lightning. And she's like, "What is it?" He's like, "Would you rather see this?" And just a big old stain of water on his crotch.
Yeah, that's oh boy, poor Eric.
And before, No,
I didn't have anything significant to say. Go ahead. I was just gonna make a clip about Eric.
I just love Jason leaves during all this, and right when he leaves, Desiree calls him Elfin, and immediately he runs in. He's like,
I am not Elfin. Click. It's a good thing I had the subtitles on because now I actually know how to spell Elfin.
Is it ELFEN?
IN.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so yeah, that's the end of that plot for a little bit. And then but it's just so funny how great that is. And then so Turner the next day gives the kids a survey and about what they read, and the kids are like, no, this is a test. We're not
We
doing
see
this.
right through this. No, dude, come on.
Immediately right through it. And they all are holding it, and then Corey goes to Turner and then puts it on his hand. And he's like, oh my God, I just did that. I'm not taking the test.
If I or anybody in my high school tried that under any circumstances, that would have been like an automatic 1-day suspension. Like that day.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And then the whole class, well, Sean does it, and then the rest of the class does. I love how Caitlin just smiled at the camera. I don't know if you saw that, but Caitlin just
smiled. I saw it. No, but Sean does it, and then this is kind of like a perfect snapshot of Corey and Sean's bromance, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
Where they're obviously different, but then they're also two peas in a pod. And oh God, I always underestimate how funny Ryder Strong is.
I agree. He is funny. He's one of my least favorite actors in the whole series of the show. But yes,
he's good at playing Sean. That's about it.
He's good at playing young Sean. Well, he's good at playing. He's good at playing funny Sean. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But that's my personal opinion. But
then he got older, and the awesome hair cut off all brain power.
I mean, yeah, that's what happened with me. So, so Feeny comes in. He's like. He sees that the kids are all taking the test. He thinks it's all done in 2 minutes.
Now, just so we're clear, Feeney's the principal at this point, right?
Feeney's the principal. In episode season 2, he starts off when they start off in high school at John Adams High.
Yeah, just want to point out the entire series, Mr. Feeney and Corey basically stalk each other.
Kind of. I mean, because Feeney's still around when they go to Pemberton, but he's not around.
That's fair, yeah.
Because he's not a teacher there. It's just, yeah. But they also have so many plots happening when it gets to the college years. But, yeah.
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 I love Mr. Feeney.
He's one of the best. But, Feeney does old school Feeney tactics. He's like, you will take this test. Or die.
He gets the megaphone out, too.
Oh, that's later, but that's when it gets to level 9, and all the kids stomp out of class after that, and Turner's just well,
take the test or die. Die.
So Corey starts a union, and they all storm the class. Well, he starts the beginnings of a union, and the whole class leaves, and then you see the next scene. Feeney quotes "Seen Elsewhere," which is pretty funny to me.
Yeah, because William Daniels was on St. Elsewhere.
Because he looks out and says, St. Eligius, and that's the name of the fictional hospital of St. Elsewhere.
Never seen a full episode of St. Elsewhere, now that you mention it.
Same here. I looked up on IMDb and saw that was the trivia for this episode. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'll share that.
Great. Yeah.
But yeah, so Turner, Turner, Feeney, this is one of the things I like. This is really, really great Jonathan Turner stuff. We'll get to episodes where I fucking can't stand Turner, mainly season 3 and onward. But this is the most basic version of what their fights are as teachers. Old school versus new school. Which one's correct? I don't know, but I have to listen to old school, but maybe new school is correct too. And that was a really great scene before you see the kids in the cafeteria, and Corey's rounding up the kids. He's like, "We don't want mac and cheese anymore. We want steak. And what do we want with our steak for our side? We want." And then Sean goes, "Mac and cheese." He's like, "No, we don't like mac and cheese anymore. We want lobster."
I went to private school, mind you, Mark. Yeah. And I can say with certainty, steak and lobster, not once.
I would love. I mean, a good old surf and turf. Oh my God! I've actually. This is a really weird fact about me. Yeah. I've never had lobster by itself. I've always had it be a small thing and something. I've had crab
lobster
a lot.
Lobster by itself, it's a process to eat because you need to cut the shell up. You need to take the meat out. The trick is to go someplace that is a seafood spot that if you can get it, like if you can pick a lobster out of the tank, even better.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's so weird because they usually steam it and they charge you by the poundage of lobster, whatever the market price is. Now you would think, oh, like the bigger the better. Great. It turns out with lobster, you don't want to go higher than 2 pounds because that's when the meat is the sweetest.
Oh, okay.
And then like you'll see like on Travel Channel, they'll go to New England. Oh, look at this giant lobster that we're serving today. When realistically speaking, no one person or even a group of people would want a lobster that big to share. It's one of those weird culinary things.
That's cool. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, I mean,
you live and you learn. That's why it says Mark Remeets World instead of Mark Meets World, because I mean, we watch the show and learn things.
Surf and turf in Philadelphia to a bunch of 7th or 8th graders. Let them have it, I say.
I mean, if it makes them happy.
Philadelphia delivered us Biden so they can have steak and lobster. I've spoken.
So did you hear what's going to happen in the inauguration? That this is a tangent a little bit, but like in the inauguration, one of my favorite bands of all time is
New Radicals. Yeah,
I saw that. I was like, oh my god, because for some reason, like Hunter Biden like loved New Radicals and made Joe listen to them all the time. So I'm like, hell yeah.
I saw that and my first thought was, I guess the crash test dummies were booked.
Don't say that. No, New Radicals are that one album. New Radicals is so good, and I will defend that to my dying day. But yeah,
that's like if I was ever to write like a traditional like fun hip New York City rom-com, the opening credits would be like an aerial shot of the skyline to You Get What You Give.
Yeah,
and then at some point you would just like zoom in on the protagonist who's walking down.
Yeah,
like St. Mark's Place or something.
I mean, they have to walk down St. Mark's Place or like 14th
just not uptown. Just not uptown. That's all.
I think the farthest north you want to 14th Street, like
Madison Square Park, like 23rd.
I think that might be a little bit too bougie for that character, but whatever.
What if he's walking downtown though?
And then all of a sudden, Vanessa Carlton starts playing. All right, I had to do a tangent because there's another time I'm ever gonna be able to do that for any of my shows because I just sent that out, and the next thing I have after today would be the live episode at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, which is something different. So Feeney pulls out his megaphone and he just gets serious. I mean, he's like, "Where did I cancel the what?"
First off, where did Feeney get a megaphone? Like he just has it. He just has it available.
He has it in his office. They show his office in the episode before when Corey's in trouble because of Sean, and you see it just hanging there. I'm like, I remember I like noticed like, why does Feeney have a megaphone? Like, what's he gonna need that for?
The school must get out of control when there's a football or basketball game. That's got to be.
But I mean, thanks to the 7th grade class, the dance is canceled. Kids are sad, and then football is canceled, and then Sean has a breakdown because he loves his cheerleaders. A horny 13-year-old boy.
And just the image of Mr. Feeney, this like, okay, first off, I'm just going to say it right now. Like, Mr. Feeney's totally a Republican, lives in suburban Philly, is an educator, dresses very conservatively, all about the order. And just the visual of this uptight little man, this uptight little gray man in a suit with the megaphone, I just found wildly funny. Just like, oh, Mr. Feeney and the megaphone. This is a pairing that doesn't make sense, but it actually does.
Yeah, it's great. It's just one of those great Feeney stuff. Like, I don't know if he's a Republican in my personal opinion. I think he's a conservative Democrat. But
yeah, that's fair.
Because
he's someone who was definitely a young Republican at one point, but then probably moved away from it as he got older.
Yeah. Especially because like the Matthews are definitely not Republican in my personal
absolutely
opinion.
Not.
Like maybe Alan, but everyone else is not.
Because Alan
is ex-military. And like
Marines or Navy, I can't remember which.
It's a Marines. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No. Sorry, it's Navy. It's Navy.
Right.
It's the Boxing Glove episode. Remember?
Even then you said like Alan might be like on the more conservative side, but he's not like super far right or anything.
No.
And neither is Mr. Feeney.
Yeah. All right, so then the Corey starts to actually have a walk, tries to have a walkout,
Yep.
and the only person that follows him is Sean, and they don't even get out the door. And so so the test is back on, and then we get back to our next scene with Jason and Eric, and you find out that Jason got to play center because no one else was taller than him on the team. Because apparently Eric is the center, and then you find he has a really funny line. He's like, "Well, it's the same height as the center on their team when they were 5 years old." And then Desiree saunters her way in right in front of Jason and gets her hair in his mouth, like all that weird stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's asking for stuff from Eric, of course.
Yeah.
And like the change in her like semi-sweet handfulness from her first appearance to here is so insane because she gets like she's like
Maleficent.
She's getting off on this.
Yeah.
Like she's like smiling at Jason, like doing this little like Jason be like, Eric, stop dating her. She's insane. And like she's like,
yeah.
And so Eric breaks up with her, and then she finally kisses him, and like there's a big music swell.
Yeah, the whole like woo.
Well, like the audience goes like that, but like it's just a beautiful like enchantment like music, and the kiss goes on for like 20 seconds too. Like
it's a very long kiss.
It's the build up for what he's wanted for so long in the episode, which is also so that's gonna be a payoff in a few minutes, anyways. But
yeah, for sure.
And she just walks away,
and looks so great doing so.
We I hate how much I find the actress that plays Desiree so pretty, but like and the character is like the most evil thing ever, and she's great as a character too. But it's just like, oh my god.
Poor Eric. Poor Eric.
I mean, he'll be fine eventually, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Eric stands up. Desiree breaks up with her, and then like so then we see that the kids are. We see Corey and Sean are at the Matthews house, and Alan is upset. That's pretty much all Alan does this whole episode. He's just upset. And then Turner shows up.
Because he and Feeney called Corey and Sean's mommies.
Yep. And
I only said that because like, oh, here's the next move. Call their mommies.
Yeah.
And he just said that. He just said that so deadpan and confidently, and I'm like, okay, great. He could have said call their parents. Like, nope, calling their mommies. Right. And that was like such signature George Feeney condescension towards Turner. I loved it.
It's so great. And then so like Turner comes there, tries to like make things okay. And he's like, listen, you have me for right now, but you're gonna have Feeney following you forever. And then like literally Feeney appears behind the window in
next door
the kitchen. And then like Turner's like, you have a Feeney next door? And like Alan's like, yep, we don't talk about often.
I may have mentioned this on a previous episode before. The fact that Feeney lives next door to Corey's family actually hits me sort of hard because I grew up in New York City. I took public transportation to school. So many of my teachers took the same bus as I did. It was so weird. Just like sitting on the bus, it's like 7:45 in the morning. Hey, how's it going? Back to Howard Stern or whatever I'm listening to. And then I'd see one teacher's like, crap, I don't have the homework today. And I have her first period.
And you're like, I can't pull out the textbook right now, or can I? No.
The trick would be like, okay, I'm not getting coffee today. And I'm just gonna like go right to school, do as much of my homework as I can.
So Turner takes the kids out to the back patio to talk to Feeney. And like you find out that they learned the material so they aren't in trouble. It wasn't a test, it was a learning experience, you find out.
It wasn't like a written test. It was more like it was a learning experience, like you said. Like they went through a certain thing, and they still understood the key takeaways from the Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah, and
which like
yeah
points to them for getting through that massive dense tome. But like it, you have to imagine, like as someone who values education very much, it had to make both Turner and Feeney feel good to see, okay, even though Corey and Sean and all these guys were being stupid earlier, they get it.
Yeah. And then we get our credit scene. We see Eric dressed for basketball. He's like, "Hey, Jason," and Jason's dressed up, and he's like
fresh Jason out of J. Crow,
like literally the most '90s cliche preppy kid ever. Yeah. And like Jason looks a little like shocked that Eric finds him, and then you hear beep 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 beep. And Eric pulls out the pink pager of Desiree, and Desiree, in her full-on succubus attire, appears, and she's like, "Hi, Jason. Oh, hi, Eric." And it's really similar to, like, there's actually a callback to the episode previously, where she calls Jason Puddin instead of Eric this time, and Eric has a line that says, "I believe the woman wants pudding," which is the exact same line that Jason had in the episode before. And they find out that Jason's only dating her so you can have that breakup kiss.
I mean, I don't blame him. That was one hell of a breakup kiss.
I mean, I've had so many worse breakup experiences than being kissed. Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, you and me both, buddy. Jeez.
I mean, I feel like it's mostly just me crying, having an anxiety attack on a train. Well, actually, that was only one of them. Well, no, that was off the train by that point, but yeah. Woo! We get real sometimes on Mark Remeets World. Anything else you want to talk about the episode before we get to wrapping up stuff?
No, I think we covered everything. It's like a really fun episode. It moves by very quickly. It's a very straight to the point story, which I loved in this case. And like, because they didn't really rely on cheap jokes. Like it was so intelligently written.
Yeah.
And like the direction too, especially for Corey and Sean during their little musical back and forth, like, "No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yeah, come on back." I just thought that like the talent on Ben Savage and Ryder Strong, even as children, but just the direction as well, along with the writing, for all of that to tie together across one episode, it's incredibly hard to do on any TV show. And this episode, me and Mr. Joad nailed it.
It's great. What's interesting about this episode for me is the most memorable stuff in this episode for me is the B plot stuff, not the A plot stuff.
Interesting.
Like,
why is that?
Like it's like from I think it's just because of the whole Desiree stuff. She's such a big role in my mind in the series, even though she's only in 2 episodes.
I feel that the thing that sticks out to me the most is like, because I was watching it this morning, and just like I was having like mini flashbacks to English class, to some of the teachers I had who were kind of like Mr. Turner, but not fully. Who definitely made the material relatable and made themselves relatable, but there's only so much a teacher can do because teenagers are teenagers.
Yeah. All right, let's do our superlatives and all that stuff. We have a new segment, but we're not doing that today because they're not in the episode. But okay. I imagine Frankie and Joey would be very pro the union. Anything to get them out of class. Well, let's get to the Betsy Randall is the greatest TV mom in the world. A one, 2, 3, 4. Betsy Randall's the best TV mom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like just that one scene like today where she's kind of like playing goal line defense to try and get Eric to eat his breakfast, and then sprays him with the hose. It's like some parents are willing to go to extremes to get their children out of toxic relationships. I wish that my parents took similar steps. Like, then again, like I'm sure they tried, but also just kind of wanted me to make the mistake and then learn from it, which I did, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
But then just for her to like be so aggressive and trying to like protect her son, you don't really see that from TV moms.
She's like it's also a really fun episode for her too. Like you can see that Amy is having fun in this episode. Right. Like it's not like the richest Amy. She's got a lot to do in this episode. Like in the whole first 3 minutes, she's like kind of the star of it because she's the one that interacts like with everyone in that scene, you know?
Yeah.
And like the way that she like talks to the kids is just so funny. Like she has my favorite line in the whole episode. Well, she has like my favorite thing that caused one of my favorite lines in the whole episode. Like when Turner shows up, and like it's the first time that the parents have met Mr. Turner, and you see him, he's got his motorcycle jacket on, his helmet in his hand, and she's like, "You have a helmet?" And he's like, "I fall off the desk." But like it's just a really rich Amy Matthews episode where she like you get a lot of really great comedies from her, especially because she's like the secondary lead in the whole like fuck Desiree movement, you know?
Yeah, she really is. I mean, you like Betsy Randall this episode. At the risk of getting roasted, my MVP is actually going to be Mr. Turner.
I wasn't the MVP yet. That was Betsy Randall is basically mom of the world still.
Yeah, well, yeah, she absolutely is. That's like I said, she has so much fun in this episode.
Yeah.
And I just love her so much. That's all I can say about Betsy Randall.
Yeah. No, I was just finishing up my Betsy Randall thoughts.
Wait. Betsy Randall, did she do anything after Boy Meets World? I can't remember.
She's done a lot of small things, like
just like a lot of random TV work.
Yeah, like I know she was like in Adam Ruins Everything a few years ago, but that's about like.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, like she's just like one of that pops up here and there, and we adore her in this house. But yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's time for the episode MVP.
Great. Should I kick this off since I jumped the gun several times this episode? All right.
Wait, you haven't been on the show in 4 months, so like I feel like you're good. Don't worry.
Okay, great. Okay, my MVP at the risk of getting roasted is Mr. Turner, just because the world needs more cool teachers. That we need more teachers who aren't going to talk down to the students, who are going to try to relate to them, get down to the students' level, even if it means dealing with a mini uprising like Mr. Turner did. The fact that he didn't give up on Corey, that he understood, like, okay, like this wasn't him trying to be a bad kid, like, because he actually understood it. This is just one day that went off the rails. And more teachers need to not like paint the entire. It's like, okay, you know how there's like the one kid acting out in class and like the teacher says, hey, we're going to watch a movie. The one kid's being stupid. And all of a sudden, nope, we're doing homework today. Mr. Turner, I feel, would not ever do that. And I think that if there were more teachers like that, maybe students would like school more. So yeah. Mr. Turner's my MVP. He rides a motorcycle, always bonus points in Josh's brain. And the accent's a little annoying, but I'm going to look past that.
It was so funny. His first episode, they had like 4 people, like very cliche accents to get introduced to the episode because they have Turner, Harley, Joey, and Frankie, who all have like very weirdly horrible, antiquated accents. Especially Joey and Harley, but which is part of the reason why they're only in like probably like 10 episodes of the whole series, but whatever.
Yeah, probably.
For me, my MVP, I hate to repeat this, but it's just because I can't think of other things that are better for me in this episode, but like last episode, I'm gonna have to give it to Jason Marsden and Desiree because
all right.
Their back and forth is just the funniest shit in the world.
I thought about giving them MVP.
Yeah.
So
like the payoff of the last 2 episodes of them fighting with each other and have that last minute be so funny is so great. Like I just think like everything Desiree does is just so perfectly evil, and everything that Jason does is just so perfectly what the fuck in this episode.
Yeah.
Like he's such a good sidekick, and it's so interesting having him accidentally be her sidekick in this episode.
So he's like the best way. The thing that comes to mind, especially when he's like running back and saying, "I am not Elfin." Like that, like to me, that was almost kind of like Josh Peck energy from Prime Drake and Josh and Nickelodeon. Yeah, and just like someone who is just as ridiculous as possible, owns it, isn't afraid to do like some wild and crazy physical things.
Yeah.
Jason Marsden, even though he's a voice actor, that is something he was always very good at.
Yeah,
especially in Boy Meets World.
Like we only have like I think like 12 episodes with Jason Marsden, and like. Yeah, he's just batting 1,000 in these 2 episodes back to back. Like,
yeah,
they're just
batting 1,000, nailing corner 3 after corner 3.
Yeah,
Like Heisman Trophy winner. He's great.
Literally every time, every line between him and Desiree, it's an alley-oop. Like it's it's just really good. Like assist.
He dunks on her so many times.
But she dunks on him, so like it's just that really good, like beautiful, like we love this here.
Amway Center, Jason and Desiree slam dunk contest. Let's make it happen.
Both of them are about like 5'6". Let's see what happens. Oh wow, we got basketball nerdy here. Okay, so Josh, let's plug some things. I know you're busy with the baby, but I know you tweet still.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm still at Elite Sports NY. I'm covering the Yankees and the Knicks there. The Knicks are actually half decent this season, so that's been fun. You can listen to me on Yankees Mets Express. That's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I think we're on Stitcher now too. So Yankees Mets Express. It's me and my co-host Lena Mean. She's great. We have a lot of fun on that show. You can follow me on Twitter at JoshBESNY and subscribe to Yankees Mets Express if you want some fun banter. Even if you're not a baseball fan, you'll just enjoy our back and forth.
I mean, Josh is great. Makes me very happy when I get to talk to him. Oh my God, Riley's making an appearance.
Oh, yep, special cameo from the baby.
And that's Caitlin, who's seen most of this episode, who I also adore. Hey, Riley.
Yeah. Someone took from her nap.
My plugs quickly at Mark Levy 85 if you want to tweet at me or follow me. If you want to email the show or have questions about the show, markremeetsworld@gmail.com. Also, tomorrow night, I got a fun episode with at least the third placer of Totem Pole's live season and maybe the creator also, but like it's not a penthouse. I've been doing a lot of like episodes with creators of games because I find them fascinating. And also I have some applications open for the Adventure Game Season 3, which will close on Friday, probably around 8 p.m. I'm not sure, but people are interested in doing a choose your adventure game in February. The theme has been released for the Season 3, which is The Perfect Valentine.
Woohoo!
Josh, always a fucking pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm always happy to come on. Love doing back and forth talk about Boy Meets World basketball, whatever you want to have me on for. It's always a pleasure to come on.
And we'll have you on in 2 weeks. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Bye.